know that you are born with an innate intelligence? When I first heard of this concept, I'm like, really? Because I don't feel intelligent. But what is innate intelligence? Well, it's that inner wisdom that you have, and it's the inner wisdom for you to, I mean, you have a lot of right answers. So recently we have been studying Timeless Youth. It's written in English and Spanish, by the way, written by Dr. Jeff Crippen, who is also my CEO. And he did a talk this past week on the innate intelligence. And also Alan Walter, wrote about us all being born with this innate intelligence. And the way he discovered it was when he looked back, starting with the great Greek philosophers like Aristotle, Socrates, Confucius, and then the famous painters, Michelangelo. And then he looked at Henry Ford, he looked at Thomas Edison, he looked at Alexander Graham Bell, and he looked at Jesus. He looked at a lot of people that if you look at what these people achieved, they basically achieved mastery in their level of expertise, the levels of what the subjects that they were studying. And so I was a little reluctant to talk to you about the innate intelligence when it comes to health, because I'm not a doctor in this area. I'm not a naturopath, but I have learned a lot because I have studied Dr. Jeff's book, and I have also seen him as a patient since 2011. So we did a piece in one of our programs on the innate intelligence, and I just wanted to talk to you about this and how this manifests and how it's there within all of you. So the innate intelligence, what on earth is this? Well, in alternative medicine, it's referred to as a spirit. In the Christian philosophy, it's referred to as the soul. In the New Age philosophy, it's probably referred to as consciousness and awareness. And then in Ayurvedic medicine, or the traditional medicine of India, it's referred to as prana. And there's many other forms that it's referred to. So that is that innate intelligence. And there's actually an innate intelligence, that inborn wisdom that we all come in with, connected to the body. And let me give you an example. So what I learned this week was, the body, if you look at your body and all the things that it does without us thinking, I mean, that's a very high form of intelligence. So for instance, that innate intelligence directs that body to build 3 million new red blood cells and to recycle 3 million old red blood cells every day. I mean, can you imagine that? We don't even have to think about it. It just does this. So it's built into our body. I mean, what a brilliant machine it is if you look at it like that. The other thing is it naturally regulates our blood pressure, our heart rate, and our breathing without us really noticing. And then it's responsible for directly healing our bodies. Okay, when we're injured, basically it will produce pain relievers when we're hurt to help us. And then it also governs our digestion. It takes those nutrients and causes us to be able to absorb the nutrients. I mean, that's high level intelligence, and that it does that without us thinking. So what I'd like for you to do is look up the word innate intelligence. And Dr. Jeff in chapter 6 goes into that innate intelligence. He also refers to, inside of each of us, we all have, he calls it the golden you. And for me, I know that is to be true, but I haven't always known that. And so here's an exercise that will help you get the concept, or if you already have the concept, it will help you actually expand that innate intelligence that you already have. So the first question, or the first part of the drill, is if you could recognize your innate intelligence, what would you observe? If you could recognize it, what would you observe? Number two is if you could appreciate your innate intelligence, how could you manifest it? I know one of the ways that I appreciate mine is, I've been seeing Dr. Jeff since 2011. So I have learned how to trust that innate intelligence when it comes to my body, and I see different signs. And one way it shows up for me is sometimes I'll be looking at what I want for dinner or what I want for lunch. And I kind of just start getting the feeling like, that's really not what you want today. That won't sit well with you. If you eat that, you're not going to feel well. It's going to cause this, this, and this, or just like, I don't want that today. There'll be, consequences, not pleasant consequences. So that's one of the things I can appreciate about my innate intelligence. It's learned, it's observed, everything I've learned from him, everything I've read. So I really appreciate that when it shows up, and it shows up if I listen to it and I take time to inspect. So I can really appreciate that. The third thing is, if you could acknowledge your innate intelligence, what would you do? If you could acknowledge it, what would you do? Another way that I do this is sometimes I can see a symptom or manifestation that's happening physically in my body, and I'm like, I think I need to take more calcium and, a certain kind of nutrition that I have that I've gotten from Dr. Jeff. And I would tell you almost 100% of the time, next time I see him, exactly what I have observed is right, because it shows up when he checks me and I have pulled and taken the exact nutrition that the body wanted. So that is innate intelligence. So take those three points, those three questions, and answer those, and feel free to post it in the chat. I'd love to send you comments about it and help you expand your innate intelligence, that golden you that is inside each one of us. See you next